Okay, okay, okay. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Kwabena. Welcome. I want to share with you what I call work. Okay, work. Productivity brings progress. Productivity brings progress. Can you imagine you being a young man, a young woman who was very, ambitious and who, would put the hope in life that if you went to school and you finished the school, you have a place to work and make the life that you want to make. Um, can you see yourself as a fresh graduate who has had to be without job for 5 years, for 4 years, for 6 years? Can you imagine the frustration? Or who has had to put up with some kind of situation that you're not proud, you're not proud of, after all the hope that you had having gone through college. I think um, as Africans, there are a lot of situations that we naturally, based on the kind of situation that we have now, we have to deal with. And most people's strategy for progress, most people's strategy for success, for prosperity. Um, we have been grown up in an environment where a lot of people just believe that the only way to become successful or the only way to progress is for somebody to declare some words on you, and then you become rich or successful. The other day I was thinking of something, that how many Ghanaian companies are able to make 100 million, 200 million revenue a year, whether it's in technology, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in mining, or whether it's in construction, retail, or agro processing or chemical processing, whatever industry, whether it's the services. How many of them, how many stories do we have to hear, and how many people have been able to build progress, prosperity, prosperous companies, prosperous lives, that we know, stories that inspire all of us without a lot of controversies, a lot of political, you know, political, them political links and things like that. How many people and which industries do we have them? Or do you know? I was thinking through people who we can sit afar and say that this man or this woman was able or has been able to build huge companies which are able to compete with most of these multinationals on our land or in Africa, that we can look up to, and those people who even have some kind of wisdom to share with us all through the process. It becomes difficult. It becomes a bit difficult because if you look where most of the businesses that we hear the stories are some Ghanaians who started some banks or an insurance company or some contractor, uh, things like that. And what again? They are not that many that you see that you can be that much inspired. And it also shows that the wisdom or the knowledge that has to be made available to a lot of us growing up or thinking of doing something with our lives may have been a bit far more limited, because what is the plan for most people? What is the strategy for most people to succeed with their lives? What are the modalities? What is it that we have to do? Most of us have had to use um, you know religious beliefs as our only way of having a path to becoming something. So most people's way of looking at succeeding is you have to pray, prayer, or finish school, look for a job, and things like that. I think the situation would have to improve because the formula for me has not been the best, because you cannot use those kind of formulas. You know, a lot of people cannot apply that kind of strategy that unknowingly we have. You know, so most people don't understand what it takes to become productive, what it takes to become successful through having to work, having to develop something, having to develop yourself, and to see progress with your life without harboring some kind of belief that somebody somewhere would have to conjure some magic or some prayer on them before they will become successful. Uh, it seems to me that that is the approach that we have had. But I think that is not so much working, because if you see, there are a lot of countries, there are a lot of cultures around the world who are just applying the basic principles that if people endure with, they will succeed with what they do. The basic principles of work, the basic principles of productivity, the basic principles of prosperity, of progress. That if we just if we are told and conditioned and taught how to go through those things, we will become successful with what we do. So I want to go through some of them with you, and see what I think. I think that there are fundamental differences in people. Some people think that everybody has what it takes to make right decisions with their lives. My assertion is that a lot of people may not necessarily have what it takes to make the right decisions with their lives, especially if they are not taught rightly and if they are not equipped rightly. And I think that a lot of us in Africa, when it comes to what it takes to succeed well and what it takes to work well and progress through the structures and through the modalities that are acceptable legally and morally, I think that very few people really have been taught rightly. If you challenge that, give somebody who has just come from school work and see how they will take their work, or go to see any top official in any organization and look at the path that they had to take to get there. A lot of us believe in, you know, I'm looking for a job. I most people, when they finish that, they are looking for a job. They are looking for some big man somewhere to give them some kind of introduction so that they will just bypass the process and get the job. Or maybe I'm looking for a contract. You know, most people, most of us, our first thought will be, let me go and see my friend, or let me go and see a friend of my father. My uncle is there, and then let him help me to get that contract. Why? Because we have not been taught to go through the right processes when it comes to work and when it comes to productivity, when it comes to progress. And I think that has created more poverty than prosperity, because then everybody, based on our level, based on where we are, based on our condition, if the right principles are taught of us, are taught to us, then we can start from wherever we are and go through the processes and endure the processes and continue to develop ourselves to become successful in what we do. So I think the first thing that we have to look at is that the heart of people, the heart of people. Because if you have a lot of people who only think of themselves, there are a lot of people who only think of themselves. They don't have the heart to love people and to see people progress unlifted. And so if I have that kind of nature, so to say, or I have that kind of disposition, then I don't really commit myself to finding out why people don't progress. Because for me, if you have to progress, it's you. It doesn't matter what kind of difficulties that you have to overcome, because I have succeeded. If I'm selfish, because I have succeeded in something, I would think that everybody else should be able to succeed without having a broader view of the situation, that some people really have to be helped to succeed. Some people would have to be helped, would have to be taught, would have to be encouraged to succeed. I have some friends who seem to think that everybody knows what to do to succeed. I think that if he's in Africa, There are a lot of barriers, not even physical. There are a lot of mental barriers that we ourselves have created, and that maybe history has also created for us. So most people do not have that kind of heart to even share and to help people to succeed. So when we even see somebody go off or going off, we seem not to that much care, because we think that it is not our case. The other thing will be the value that you have for human life. If you so much value people, you'll be that much concerned about what they have to do to progress with their own lives, to make progress with their own lives. So your heart for people, your love for people, the value that you place on the lives of people, and the other thing is that I think you would have to have a firm belief in the continent and in the country and the prospects that we have here. I think when you're able to settle some of these things, then you can go to the next level, what they teach everybody. Because once, if you're not able to settle these things, then you do whatever that you have to do to make something seemingly that they call progress and prosperity. But if you have clean heart, good ethics, and you have heart for people and love people, when they put you in charge of anything, when you're in charge of something, you are not looking at how to cut corners and break the system only for yourself. You know, when you believe in the country and you believe in the continent and you see the pain of the people, you see the struggles of the people, you would want to set things fairly for everybody to have a fair chance of them trying to make a living. I think these things have not gone down well with a lot of our people. So those who are trying to encourage people, just give them a blank statement that you can just lift yourself wherever you are. It is true, you can lift yourself wherever you are, but most people cannot lift themselves because of the conditioning, because of the knowledge, because of the understanding, because the mental blockage sometimes is far more challenging than the physical one. You know, the mental, because if you don't know that it takes work, diligence for you to make progress, and you just believe that once you take some anointing oil and put it on your head, or somebody prays for you, or somebody declares some fasting for you, and you will be successful, it will be so much difficult for you to believe that it takes work, it takes you becoming diligent for you to prosper. Because the most popular things now, not only in Ghana but all across Africa, is not for people to become responsible and committed to making their own lives and taking responsibility for their own lives, but is looking for some magic somewhere, quick somewhere, you know, praying somewhere, then everything will be okay. Then everything will be okay. And what I've seen is that this kind of situation that we find ourselves in now, will create a lot of challenges for us in the next 30, 40, 50 years. When those people who have been conditioned this way, who are in their 20s, who are in their 30s, when they start to get into their 60s, where they start to get into retirement, or when they get into a state that they cannot work more, and they did not build anything for their future, that is where the challenge will be. But even in between, there will still be a lot of lack, a lot of difficulties, financial problems, a lot of issues, because they have missed the right part, which is, if you want to make progress, you have to work. If you want to prosper, you have to work. If you want to it's productivity, individually, companies, countries progress, become successful, because they are productive, because they work, because they have studied the processes that bring prosperity. You know, but from where I sit and in the things that I see on our country, in our continent, I think that is not part of the formula at all. Most people, no, it's not part of the formula at all, especially the ones who are very much religious. If you were born religious, especially the Christians, working to prosper is not part of our dictionary, the way I see it nowadays. I see it as even when you are with them and you seem to pay more attention to your work and focus on working to make progress, to become successful, they tag you differently. They think that you are worldly, and you are serving money and things like that. and then they go there to pray all day, all hours, for God to make them prosperous. I think that is a mental block. It's something that you have to overcome if you want to make progress with your life, if you want to prosper, because productivity is what brings progress and success and prosperity. It's not you doing any other thing apart from work, productivity. Because in the scriptures, they say that diligent hand will prosper. And the man who said that was very much rich and very much successful. Very much rich and very much successful. So I think that until that thing is overcome, a lot of people will be poor. Until that thing has been explained well to our generation, a lot of people will live in deception. Or the other thing is that they will not believe it until they start to see that that thing is rare, and then they will start to make hasty decisions and choices, and they will start to become dishonest and corrupt and enter areas that they don't have to enter, which may be even against their own personal beliefs and personal values. But because they will be late because they did not get the right tools, the right understanding of what it takes to become prosperous. And so for you to make progress, you have to understand that progress follows productivity. So you're becoming productive. How we spend our time, how we spend our resources shows how productive you become. The time that we have, the resources that we have, the talent that we have, the money that we have, how we spend them, how we use them, will show the kind of progress that we make with our lives. But as usual, when you are here, there are some skills that you would have to really start from the ground to develop yourself. There are some skills that will help you to become productive, and those skills, I don't hear them that much in any place. I don't hear them in school. I don't hear them in the culture, and I don't even hear them that much in some of the other places, whether the churches or the mosque, that much. So really, productivity is put somewhere. Once in a while you hear them, but it's not the dominant component in our upbringing, and that's why I think that very, very few people will be that much successful. I try to find out which Ghanaian companies are making a lot of progress, which Ghanaian businesses are making a lot of progress outside political influence, outside political influence mainly, like maybe government calling them to give them contracts, things like that, or somebody who has built a product, who has built a service, innovated an idea and built it over a lifetime, built it into a business that is solving problems, whether it's in IT, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in mining or food process, wherever it is. I try not to see so many of them. Because why? Because for us, our understanding of what it takes to be prosperous has been, when God blesses you, you'll be prosperous. When God lifts you, you'll be prosperous. And I think that has been a major trouble. So all of us are, or most of us, especially if you go to church, you are waiting for one word from a prophet or a pastor, and then everything else will change. I think that is an error. And so the other tools that we need, the other skills that we need to learn and progressively and constantly upgrade them so that we become very much productive, we know very much little about them. Very few people know some of these things. So one of the skills that you have to develop will be your ability to think well. Your ability to think well. Your ability to think critically. That is so much important to you becoming productive. If you're not able to separate a lot of wrong thoughts from the right ones, a lot of wrong ideas that they have told us from the right ones, if you're not able to question, if you're not able to think well, you will not become productive. You will not become productive, because sometimes we may have been told something all our lives, but we look at the results and it's not true. But because we don't have that thinking or that mind to question a lot of things to the detail, that critical mind, because we have not even encouraged to think that way. A lot of us have not been encouraged to think and question, because once you start to question, you become some kind of an outcast, because you start to question almost every process, every detail, and most people are not comfortable with that in our environment. So how can you become productive? How can you become prosperous? How can you make progress if you cannot, when you cannot think critically? You cannot make progress. And that's why we wait for magic, or we wait for the supernatural to make us prosperous, as if God's power is not in these things that have made a lot of people successful beyond our culture, outside our culture. Because when you meet the average guy who does not look like me, who's not an African, most of them are just thinking. They're just thinking. They are just thinking how to solve issues. They are thinking how to break complex things down. When something is not working with them, they are not blaming the demon, or they are not blaming the devil. They are looking for solution. What is it that I can break down to solve? For most of us, that's not how we were brought up. For most of us, when something is not working, they are told to pray. We are told to go and look for somebody somewhere to anoint us. And even the whole country, when something is not working, they tell us to go and pray. I'm not trivializing prayer, but I think we don't know where it applies. We don't know where it applies. So once you are like that, when something happens, your first thing is you're looking for something superstitious, to interpret it. And that's why we don't make progress. That's why we don't see because progress and success and prosperity, those who have done it and done it on a very large scale and done it well with ethics, with values, have done it because they were thoughtful, because they think deep, they plan, they ask questions. But most of us, when you start to ask questions, people will attack you. People will attack you. People will come after you. People will tell you that you're not even a Christian anymore. The other day, I was making a statement. I said that the way I see it, most of these young people now, they either want to become politicians or they want to become pastors. And somebody said that you stay with what you know and leave everybody to do what they want. So the thing is not everybody to do what they want. It's the damage that they are causing. And the future of our continent and the future of our country. Because if everybody sees that, once you become this one, you become prosperous, then what's the need for us to go through any pain, any struggle to build anything? Because all around the globe, if you go anywhere that people have built any significant wealth, you will see a product that they offered. You will see a service that they offered. You see the solutions that they offered to the community, to the country. And out of that, they got paid for that. Here, you can see people who don't have anything to show what they did to get the so-called money or prosperity that they have, and that becomes a bad example for the rest of the young people, for the rest of the young women, because you don't see what people do to get what they have, and that has become a very bad example for majority of the people. So they cannot see that if you want to become prosperous, if you want to become successful, it follows productivity. It's almost gone. It's almost not in existence. Because the other day, the guy was in the radio station insulting all other parties, and the next minute that his party comes into power, he has Pajero, he has houses. So what's the point for me to go through a lot of things before I build anything? So critical thinking is very important. If you cannot think critically, you cannot progress. You cannot see prosperity, because it's a byproduct of it. It's a byproduct of it. The other one that you would want to see will be your ability to solve problems. Your ability to solve problems, because productivity is actually problem solving. Whether it's a factory that you're running, whether it's a business that you're running, whatever that you're doing to become productive is really problems that you're solving. Manufacturing a product is problem solving. Of offering a service, whether you are into whatever service that you have, whatever problems that you are solving, is really becoming productive. Means that you are able to solve problems. And so your ability, problem solving skills, you don't hear them. You hear 30 days fasting, breakthrough, and then God will bless you. And we have seen this over the last 30-40 years. And you can see that if somebody was doing a statistics on was doing some research on these things, you can see how many people who are in their 60s now who have become virtually poor because they did not build these skills, but they only bought the lies that they were told. So problem solving skills. The other one, the first one is critical thinking. Another one is problem solving skills. For you to become productive, you cannot overlook these things. Problem solving. When there's a problem, can you solve it? Do you know how to solve it? Can they leave you as a manager to solve some problems and you're able to solve it, or you are going to? I remember there was a time that we had some people working with us, and before we knew it, they were talking to some malams and some prophet to solve problems in the business side. And I was amazed that a young girl like that, when you are given an assignment, you are calling some prophet to give you answer. That's the kind of culture, that's the kind of thinking that we have in our country. So prosperity, genuine, and productivity will be low because people are looking for magic. The other one will be being creative and being innovative. For you to become productive, there has to be creativity and there has to be innovation. You cannot just say that, oh, this is how we do it, so that's it. There's always a way that we have to find to come up with solutions, to come out with ideas, to get the problems solved. Creativity. If you don't encourage a lot of this, and they have to be dominant in the thinking of the people, they have to be dominant in the culture, or we will not see the prosperity, we will not see the progress that we are talking about. We will not see, because people have to use their brains. People have to use. One thing about this life is that a lot of things are solved with the brains. But here they are telling us it's God who will help us. The other thing that we may have to learn how to do rightly is how to develop the people skills. You are going to work with people. Your ability to work with people well and lead people has a lot to do with you making progress and becoming successful and becoming productive. Your ability to do these things. And the other one is being stabilized or being stable in your emotions, because sometimes the things that we set out to do may not go as we plan. But if we are hysterical, we will just panic, and that's why it's some way somehow it's dangerous for you to attribute every problem that you meet to some spirit somewhere. And I think that's a major challenge, where every little problem that you meet that we have to solve at our level, instead of us looking at what we are not doing rightly and doing the analysis on ourselves, on our skills, on the talent that we have, on the things that we know, the things that we don't know. The first point is that somebody else is doing me somewhere. So you have to go to the malam, or you have to go to a prophet, you have to go, so we miss a lot. We miss a lot because there are things that we don't know. There are things that we don't know. And so your emotional stability is very much important. Your ability to be stable when things don't work, or when things appear to be difficult, and you not panicking and not being fear driven, is very much important to you becoming productive and becoming successful and making progress. Because there has to be some level of endurance for anything to be achieved. For us to go through the processes rightly, to build anything significant, there has to be a lot of endurance. And so if emotionally we are weak, we will not endure. We will not stay through the processes. We will not stay through the processes. Some of the other skills that we probably will need will be how to serve well, how to serve our customers well, how to serve the people that we get into contact well. Having patience for people, and bettering this, or getting better with the systems of getting our product, our services to the people who need them. Because people feel like they are bosses. So sometimes you go to a company, you go to a shop, you go to a business area, the owner is there, and you are buying something, and the way the people will look at you as if, don't you know that I am the one who created this business? So I have guys who are working for me. They have to serve you. Why? Because of wrong understanding. Now, when we don't do these things rightly, we cannot become productive. We cannot progress. We cannot become productive. We cannot progress. In our culture, in our country, when we even give very good customer service, sometimes most people become shocked because they don't expect it. And that is a major problem, that people don't expect good service from businesses, from companies. That's a major problem, that instead of the other one becoming abnormal, which is when you don't serve people well, it becomes abnormal. People should be angry. No, it's rather when you serve people well, it becomes abnormal. People think, so why? It's dangerous. And that is one of the reasons why we don't see the progress that we are looking for. That's one of the reasons why we don't see the prosperity that we are looking for. Because the more people we can serve and serve well, the more progress that we make. And yet, the people who are telling God to prosper them have no value for how well they serve people. No value, no appreciation, no love, no value for the people they serve. If there is a problem, it's never their fault. You have to virtually beg people to serve you well, even if you are paying with money. We have to virtually beg. The customer is begging you to serve them well. So how are you going to make progress? So there's a lot that we have to know and we have to understand. And when we don't get them, there's not going to be progress. There's not going to be progress. So my name is Kwabena. I am talking about work. Productivity brings progress and prosperity. Productivity brings progress and prosperity. So there's not going to be progress and prosperity when we don't know how to be productive. How to be productive. And there are things that people do well that will show that they are on the path to becoming productive. Because productivity is what gets results. So the successes that we are looking for, if the first thing is us getting the thought rightly set, because I think that Africans as we are, our major challenge is being able to understand the things well and knowing what has to be done. It's difficult for us to pay attention to for us to prioritize and see what has to be done where for us to make the progress that we want to make. It's difficult for Africans to embrace that, because even the things that are very much critical, we still think that is an option or is an opinion. It's an option, it's an opinion, and it's tough. When others are very much agreeing on things that will move their country forward, the things that will move our country forward, that's where we want to debate. That's where we debate. Then the things that will not move our country forward, that is where we agree. So when it comes to football, we all agree. We all wear Black Stars t-shirts. But when it comes to things that will make people very much productive, develop good work ethics, become very much value-driven, character-driven, critical in thinking, problem-solving, those things that we all have to agree and see that, listen, nobody moves. Nobody changes their status in this life. Nobody, whether it's a country or whether is an individual or whether it's a company. No, nothing moves until the people decide to move and to become productive and to constantly become better at what they do. They ask questions, they think well. We know a lot of the information that we hear about what it takes to make progress. We don't hear these things. Not what I hear. We don't hear these things as the basis of becoming successful and making progress. We don't hear them. Those are the facts. It's very unfortunate, but those are the facts. Because if you pick any average person on the street, ask them, how do you think that you become prosperous? How do you think that you progress with your life? And ask them. They will tell you, they will start to quote the Bible, they will quote scriptures, and tell you that it's the blessing of the Lord that makes people rich, and hard work don't add anything to it. They will tell you that their prophet has prayed for them and everything will be all right. Now the Jewish people who gave us the Bible, they work. They have rocket. They have better labs. They solve problems scientifically. They are not praying. When the Palestinians attack them, they go. They go with with what is it, with armored planes, and go and fight back. They don't sit down and fast and pray. Now they gave us the Bible, and we are using the Bible, and we have left all the other ones and using it and talking. The way they practice agriculture, they are using science. They are using greenhouse. They are using all kind of technology. The newest technology, they are on board. They are doing a lot of research. We are praying to God. So that's where it is. So you ask the average guy, the average person, if he goes to church, if he believes in God, his answer will be different. Unless the person does not go to church at all, then you hear some different information. But if he goes to church, I tell you, his first answer will be pointing to God. And I think that has been a major problem, because progress is work. It's not a miracle. Consistent progress, consistent one, the one that is predictable, that the one that can be significant, is work. And us knowing how to work and work well, and there are things that inform productivity. If you know these things and we work with them, then there's no need to be afraid of the future. If you stay with those things and work them well, then there's no need to be worried that are we going to be successful or not, because those are the things that people who are successful do. And once we do them, it's a matter of time, you become successful. And so it's not fear, it's not magic. It's really in our hands. A lot of if we as a country starts to do a lot of these things on a large scale, there's a reason why the African countries are not poor, are not rich, are not developing at the pace that we all want, because the things that we need to do and do them well, we play with them. And so not just at the country level, even at the personal level, same. The things that we have to focus and do well, we probably found them late, or we still have not even found them, or we still don't even believe that those things are important. And that's a major challenge, So people skills, being emotionally stable, even financial skills, negotiation, being able to know how to sell what the ideas that you have, problem solving skills, being able to think well, critically, analytical thinking, being creative, innovative, knowing how to serve well. These things are the things that everybody is using to make progress and to become successful. And those are the things that we are not even taught. We don't even know them. Tomorrow, when you go to work, you ask people, what do you think about these things? Or ask somebody, what do you do? What can you do from now to December? What do you think you can do to become more productive? And hear the answer they will give you. And if I'm lying, look at how we spend our time and our resources and where we spend them. And they just go to prove that we don't believe that productivity is what brings prosperity. We don't believe it. The majority is not in the culture. We don't believe it. So if you want to be different, then you just have to shift your mind differently and look at some of these things, because they would be the reason why you'll be successful or you'll be a failure. If you stay with them, you'll be successful. But if you are looking for magic and going to the Malam or going to the prophet for oil and for all the things that they pour on us, those things have become destructive to the African youth. They have become. It's a fact. They have become destructive to us. So people don't know how to solve problems. People don't know how to think well. People don't know how to be innovative. People don't know how to work hard. People don't know how to handle their own finances and handle them well. People don't even know how to be emotionally stable. They dream and they see that somebody else is shooting them, the next minute they are crying. So there are a lot of things that are confusing to the African. And I think that those are the things that we need to clear them. And if we clear them, then things will work, at least for us as individuals. So that is what I have. And I think that people who commit to sharing these things have good heart for people. They value lives and they believe that there can be progress on our continent. There are people who don't believe those things. There are people who only look for their self-interest. Okay, there are Africans, big ones, who only look for what will benefit them. And so the masses that are going through a lot of pain and struggling, it's never their business. And that's why the other tools that I talk about are not loud. They are not loud because people don't care what people become. But if you have genuine heart for people to become successful, and you also believe that people can only make right decisions when they know, then you would want to share them. And if you value lives and you value people, you would want to see the best for people. And if you have confidence in our continent that we can make progress and even go faster than we thought, then you'll be concerned and to share them. And that's why I find time to share the little that I know. Why? Because I think that the trivialities are too much. The comedies and the entertainments are too much. And when there are not options, when we don't have options, we all told that life that we have lived all this while. You know, the entertainment, the sports, all around the world. When they're looking for entertainment and sports, you look, is a black man who shows up. Sports entertainment is a black man who shows up. When it comes to productivity, when it comes to progress, when it comes to prosperity, science, technology, building empires, you don't see the black men there. Because they have conditioned us to believe that our part is entertainment and sports and comedy and dancing. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. You look around the world. Whenever they are forming any organization or they are doing something on a major scale, they want to go to Mars, they want to go here, they are finding the drugs for HIV, they are doing all this, they are doing very big business forums around the world. You don't, do you see the black people there? But when it comes to Olympic Games, when it comes to sports, when it comes to all these things, then you see the black people there everywhere. Look at African Americans, eh? When they are singing, every one of them superstar, he has to be an entertainer. I don't get it. Why are we not promoting the scientists as well? Why are we not promoting the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the creators? Why? Those who have created wealth. Because we don't solve the problems with entertainment. We don't solve the problems with entertainment. Constant entertainment. Every day you're entertaining. Why? Why? So it's a conditioning. It's a conditioning. So if you don't offer the other options, the youth will not know. The young people will not know. They will just dissipate their time, waste their time, and by the time they see it, they come to 40 years, they come to 50 years, and all their life they become disappointed. And so my name is Obindako. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.